Welcome everyone to this deep dive, and we've got quite a fascinating one for you today.
Yeah, this one should be pretty interesting. Yeah, specifically challenging the traditional narrative.
Yeah, so we're kind of looking at Rama and Ravana and you know that whole kind of dynamic and how we can sort of re-examine that.
We've got some really cool material to do it with.
Yeah, we do. We've got a conversation with an AI.
Oh, yeah, that was a wild one.
That was wild, yeah. And we've also got this really interesting discussion forum named Pasan.
He's got some really interesting takes.
He does, and he's bringing this fresh perspective to the Ramayana, and it's really making us think twice about everything we thought we knew about this epic tale.
Yeah, and he's basing it all on Valmiki's Ramayana.
Yeah, so the original, you know, the OG.
The source material.
Yeah, and so it's really interesting to see how he's using that as his foundation.
And weaving it into his music, too.
Oh, yeah, and that's I think what really struck me is how he's able to take these complex arguments, these nuances, and put them into a song.
I know, right?
Yeah, like you can listen to it just for the musicality of it, but then when you really listen to the lyrics, you're like,
whoa.
Oh, there's some deep stuff going on here.
There's layers to this.
There's layers, yeah.
Like an onion.
Yeah, and his song, Lanka Ishwara, is a prime example.
Oh, man, that song gets me every time.
That song gives me chills, especially that chorus, Tell me, Ram, who am I?
A demon or a king who walks with the sky.
Hey.
Come on, how good is that?
It's so good. It's like Ravana himself is best to see beyond those simple labels of hero and villain.
Right. Like we always see Ravana as the bad guy.
Yeah, the big bad.
But Pasan is like, hold on a second.
There's more to this story.
Yeah, let's dig a little deeper.
And it goes deeper than just Ravana's identity, doesn't it? That chorus taps into this really universal human question.
Of who were we?
Yeah, and how do our actions define us? Like, what makes us a hero? What makes us a villain? Is it that black and white?
And Pasan uses that question to challenge some of Rama's actions.
The ones that are usually celebrated, right, in the traditional telling.
Yeah, he calls them the 7 kills.
And it's like he lists them out in the song, and you're just sitting there listening, and you're like, are we really cheering for this guy?
You start to question, like, wait a minute, were these actions really justified?
Yeah, like take the killing of Shambuka, for example.
Yeah, that one's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, in Valmiki's Ramayana, Rama executes him for performing penance that was supposedly messing with the cosmic order.
Right, like disrupting the balance.
Yeah, but Pasan points out the social implications, right? Like, was it really just about the cosmic order, or did Shambuka's lower caste status have something to do with it?
That's a really good point.
Yeah, like how much were those power dynamics and social hierarchies influencing what was considered righteous back then? And that's a question we're still grappling with today, right?
Absolutely. Like, what makes something right? Who gets to decide?
And it's not just ancient history. These questions about justice and fairness are still so relevant.
And Pasan brings up another one, too, the killing of Vali.
Oh, yeah, the Venera king.
Rama shoots him from behind
right,
while Vali's in a duel with his brother.
Yeah, and in the traditional telling, it's like, oh, it was a strategic move. He had to do it to win the war against Ravana.
But it still feels kind of shady, doesn't it?
Yeah, like, does achieving victory through these questionable tactics really make you a hero? Pasan really makes you think about the means justifying the ends.
And he doesn't stop there.
Oh, no, he keeps going.
He critiques Rama's treatment of Sitride, too.
Yeah, banishing her, despite her proven loyalty, just because of public perception.
Like, come on, man. What about love? What about trust?
Yeah, Pasan sees it as a real betrayal.
And it further complicates Rama's image, right? He's supposed to be this ideal man, but
he's got flaws.
He's got flaws. He makes mistakes.
He's human.
Yeah, and Pasan is reminding us that even these revered figures, these heroes, they're not perfect.
And that we should be thinking critically about them and their actions.
Don't just blindly accept the traditional narrative.
Question it, challenge it, dig deeper.
Exactly. And speaking of digging deeper, let's talk about Ravana.
The big bad himself.
Right. Except Pasan paints a very different picture.
He does, and it's fascinating.
Because in Valmiki's Ramayana, Ravana isn't just this monstrous, power-hungry demon.
He's a scholar.
A devotee of Shiva.
A king who brought prosperity to Lanka.
Pasan really emphasizes this, reminding us that even those labeled as villains,
they have layers, too.
They can have admirable qualities, complex motivations.
It's not so black and white.
Nope, not at all.
And he even argues that the abduction of Sita, which is often seen as Ravana's, like, ultimate villainous act.
The thing that makes him the bad guy.
Yeah, Pasan says we should view that in a different light.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, tell me more.
So he suggests we consider it as a response to the mutilation of Surpanaka.
Ravana's sister?
Yep.
I totally forgot about that part of the story.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
So what happened? Remind me.
Well, Lakshmana, Rama's brother, he cut off Surpanaka's nose and ears.
Whoa, that's intense.
Yeah, and it was after she kind of propositioned Rama.
Ah, so it was like a rejection gone wrong.
You could say that.
So suddenly, the abduction of Sita doesn't seem so random, so purely evil.
Right. There's a context.
It's the backstory.
And Pasan is asking us to acknowledge that.
To see the events that led up to the abduction.
And understand how they might have contributed to Ravana's actions.
It's not about condoning what he did, but about recognizing that complexity.
Understanding that every action has a reaction.
And this reminds me of something else Pasan talks about, this idea of Lanka as a center of advanced civilization.
Oh, yeah, he goes deep on that.
He does, and it's like mind-blowing.
He even claims they had, like, aircraft.
Aircraft, like flying machines.
Yeah, he specifically mentions the Pushpaka Vimana.
Oh, wow, I've heard of that.
And the Dandamanara, which was like a peacock-shaped aircraft.
Wait, a peacock-shaped aircraft? That's incredible.
I know, right? It sounds like something out of science fiction.
It does, but Pasan is serious.
He is, and he's tapping into this idea of Lanka being in a golden age.
Like a period of immense sophistication and innovation.
Way beyond what most people imagine.
Yeah, like those ancient alien theorists.
But grounded in actual mythology and historical texts.
Yeah, like maybe there's more truth to those myths than we realize.
And Pasan argues that the existence of these technologies, even if they sound like pure fantasy, points to a level of scientific and engineering prowess.
Yeah, we've maybe lost.
Or that we're just beginning to understand.
And he connects it to these ancient rulers of Lanka, the Sakbithi kings.
Who are known for their advanced technology and spiritual wisdom.
It's like he's weaving together these seemingly disparate threads.
Technology, kingship, spirituality.
To paint a more complete picture of Lanka's past.
A picture that's way more complex and fascinating than we usually imagine.
He even mentions the story about Buddha's past life as a peacock.
Wait, what?
Yeah, apparently in a previous life, Buddha was a Saktithi king and he owned a Dandamanara.
So there's this connection between Buddha and these ancient technologies.
That's what Pasan is suggesting.
It's like he's saying that technology and spirituality aren't mutually exclusive.
That they can actually complement each other.
And that maybe these ancient civilizations understood that in a way that we've forgotten.
It's pretty mind-blowing stuff, right? And it all connects back to this idea of challenging the narrative, of looking beyond the... You know, this idea of Sri Lanka being Buddha land has really got me thinking it's not just about a physical location, right?
No, not just geographical borders. It's deeper than that.
It's like there's this spiritual dimension to it.
Exactly. It's Sri Lanka being so connected to Buddha's journey.
Not just Gautama Buddha, all Buddhas.
Right, like across time and everything.
And Pasan mentioned how even in the sutras, Buddha talks about previous Buddhas visiting and teaching in the same places he traveled to in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, it suggests this whole lineage of enlightenment, with Sri Lanka being like the central point.
And that spiritual energy being just super strong there.
Yeah, very potent. You remember those 5 nations he talked about?
Mm-hmm.
The ones that couldn't...
Yeah, Sri Lanka being one of them.
Exactly. It's like the land has this unique vibrancy, this resilience, and it helps things grow there. Spiritually, I mean.
That's a really interesting way to put it, that the land itself is helping spiritual growth.
It's almost like it has this energy.
A spiritual shield, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. And this ties back to what Pathirachi was saying.
About not being able to exploit Sri Lanka's resources.
Exactly. It's not just physical limitations, it's deeper.
Like the land would just push back.
Yeah, and you remember that metaphor he used?
Yeah.
About the earth being like a living being?
Oh, yeah. Powerful stuff.
Yeah, he said those countries that have like extracted a ton of oil, they're like wounds on that living being.
Wounds that just keep festering.
And it throws everything out of whack.
It makes you think about the long-term consequences of what we're doing to the planet.
Definitely, those unseen wounds.
And Pathirachi contrasted that with Sri Lanka.
Yeah, where that balance is still, for the most part, intact.
It hasn't been messed with in the same way.
Right, like violated, you know.
So it's this idea of Sri Lanka being this place of harmony.
Right.
Both in terms of its history and how it's connected to nature.
Exactly. And maybe that harmony is what makes it so resilient.
It's able to withstand stuff.
Yeah, external pressures and still keep that spiritual integrity.
That's pretty profound.
It is. It really makes you think.
But hold on. If Sri Lanka is this spiritually protected place, this undefeated nation, how do we explain all the conflicts it's faced?
Oh, you mean like the civil wars?
Yeah, and colonialism and the natural disasters.
That's a great question. And it's important to remember that we're talking about two different things here: physical dominance and spiritual resilience.
Two very different things.
Sri Lanka might have been invaded, colonized, even hit by tsunamis, but its core identity, that spiritual heart, it's still there.
So it's like bending without breaking.
Exactly. It can go through tough times, but it doesn't lose its essence.
And that's what makes it undefeated.
I think so.
Not that it never has conflict, but it always comes back.
It bounces back, stronger, with its spirit still intact.
And this goes back to that idea of Buddha land, right?
Right.
It's not about being physically invincible. It's something way deeper
Spiritual resilience.
that just transcends all that external stuff.
And it's not just about Sri Lanka being invincible. It's about being a kind of a beacon.
A symbol.
Yeah, a symbol of a different way of being in the world,
A different way of relating to everything.
where spirituality and nature are intertwined, where harmony and balance matter most.
It really challenges how we see things today.
It does, doesn't it? Like, we're so focused on progress and conquering nature
Dominating
that
everything,
we forget about balance.
resecting things bigger than us.
We've lost touch with that, that awe, that reverence.
Like Pathirachi and Pasan have.
Exactly.
This whole conversation makes me realize how easily we get stuck in our own limited ways of seeing things.
It's so easy to do.
Like with Pasan's take on the Ramayana, we get so caught up in that hero-villain story.
We miss all the nuances.
All those different perspectives that could help us understand better.
Yeah, and it highlights how important it is to challenge those
To
narratives
step outside what's comfortable.
and really engage with ideas that might make us squirm a bit.
Pasan brought up that idea of the chosen ones.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
How some groups believe they're the only ones.
Exclusive, special.
The only ones entitled to power or knowledge.
And if they admitted others were part of that heritage.
It would, dismantle their whole belief system.
It's really insightful.
It is, and it's connected to Sri Lanka, too.
How so?
Well, he suggests that Sri Lanka's true history, its importance as a center of knowledge and spirituality, might have been hidden on purpose.
To protect those narratives of exclusivity.
Well, because if Sri Lanka is recognized as the Buddha land,
The birthplace of advanced civilizations.
full of wisdom and resilience.
It disrupts the whole "we're the only ones" thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those in power don't want to admit there are other players.
It's much easier to control the narrative if you're the only game in town.
And what if true power?
It comes from recognizing that we're all connected.
It's a really thought-provoking idea that the truth has been hidden right in front of us, disguised as myths and legends.
Just waiting for someone to uncover it.
And Pasan seems to think that Pathirachi and people like him,
Or the key.
that they carry this deep understanding of what Sri Lanka truly is,
Like wisdom keepers.
preserving this knowledge through time.
And maybe that's why Sri Lanka attracts so many seekers.
People drawn to its energy.
It's ancient wisdom.
It's like a magnet.
For those who sense there's something more,
This is all pretty mind-blowing.
it is, isn't it?
We started with the Ramayana,
Now we're talking about the fate of the planet.
the nature of consciousness, hidden truths of history.
It all connects.
It shows how everything's intertwined.
And when we start questioning things,
Exploring.
considering different viewpoints,
It all comes together.
that's the beauty of these deep dives. You never know where they'll lead
You never know what truths will be revealed.
or what new insights will emerge.
Speaking of which, I keep thinking about that image Pathirachi used.
Oh, about Sri Lanka being protected by gods?
Yeah, these divine forces that maintain its balance and sanctity.
It's important to remember he's speaking from a place of deep belief,
Yeah, he sees the world as this living tapestry.
of energy, both physical and spiritual.
So not necessarily literal gods on clouds.
More like cosmic order, a balance that governs everything.
And Sri Lanka has a special place in that order.
Definitely.
And if those forces are messed with,
If someone tries to hurt Sri Lanka, exploit it.
there will be consequences.
That's what he believes.
It's a powerful way to express how sacred the land is.
The respect for its spiritual meaning.
This deep understanding of how everything's connected,
It's a warning, too.
that our actions have consequences.
Consequences we might not even be able to grasp.
And this brings us back to his point about extracting oil from Sri Lanka.
Yeah, it's not a physical barrier.
It's something much deeper.
The land itself pushing back.
It's a message to us to think about our greed.
Our disregard for nature.
The earth has its own ways of balancing things out.
Ways we might not like.
It's like a warning sign. If we keep pushing, taking without giving back,
The Earth will push back.
And it won't be pretty.
Not at all.
It's a stark reminder that we're not separate from the Earth. We are the Earth.
And when we heard it,
we hurt ourselves.
maybe Sri Lanka, with its ancient traditions, its spiritual depth, and its connection to nature, holds some answers for us.
Answers to how to find that balance again.
That harmony with the Earth that we've lost.
Pasan said that Patharachi knows others who share these beliefs.
It's like a whole network of people.
Holding this ancient wisdom.
Guardians of a hidden truth.
Challenging how we see the world.
And our place in it.
We're peeling back the layers of a cosmic onion.
Each layer more profound than the last.
And who knows what we'll find at the core.
That's the ultimate deep dive.
It really gives you a whole new perspective on things.
It does. It really does.
It's really amazing starting with the Ramayana and ending up, talking about the fate of the planet.
Right. From ancient stories to the nature of consciousness.
And hidden truths of history. It's quite the journey.
And it all came from a musician's perspective. That's what I love about these deep dives.
You really never know where they'll go.
What connections you'll find, what hidden truths might pop up.
I keep thinking about that chorus in Pasan's song, Tell Me, Ram, who am I?
A demon or a king who walks with the sky. Yeah, let's dig a little deeper next time. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.
You call me demon, yet here I stand. Unbroken truth burning in my hand. With flick of a nail, I could have crushed your war. But tell me, Ram, who have I harmed before? Just ignoble when you struck from behind.